Now, we know that Bill Maher has been funny and full of provocative insights for a long time. That's why Real Time on HBO is one of the highest-rated shows in late-night television. And he certainly held nothing back in our exclusive one-on-one. Ultimately, for Joe Biden, where do you think it leaves him? Do you think that this spread in the polls right now is real and he'll stay there, or do you think it's just identification?
Well, I think he'll get knocked down, yes, because it's early. Always at this time. He is a return to normalcy. I don't think he's a lot of people's favorite, but he's a lot of people's second or third choice, and he's good enough. Hillary was a terrible candidate. That's absolutely true.
She didn't help the situation with the emails in terms of how she handled it with her answers and her actions.
Absolutely. No, right. And she committed obstruction of justice. Now, Trump did, I think, in much worse fashion. I go back and forth on impeachment because I feel like, yeah, it's the right thing to do. But if they impeach Trump, whoever the next Democrat is, you know they will impeach him because they don't care about the facts.
Do you think he's winning?
Yes. And I'm sick of winning. He's right. I got sick of winning, his winning. Remember, this is going to be, because it is Trump, the dirtiest campaign ever. Donald Trump should have been someone who made the Democrats go, wow, we got to get serious now. Too many people is what I see in the field. That alone looks silly when you have 23, 24 people. And some of them are, I don't even know what their raison d'etre is for running. I think a lot of this far-left political correctness is a cancer on progressivism. I think when you talk to Trump supporters, they are not blind to his myriad flaws. But one thing they always say is he's not politically correct. I don't think you can overestimate how much people have been choking on political correctness and hate it.
All right, now, let's hold on this for a moment, because political correctness and what it means to the left, this is going to be a fertile issue in this election. And Bill Maher has been all over it for a long time, and he's often politically incorrect on purpose. He believes the left has made it a cancer. The question is, isn't political correctness supposed to be a cure? Let's get after it. So where's the line of decency and hyper-political correctness?
I think decency, I'm born a Democrat. My parents were Democrats. We all loved your father. They loved Kennedy.
You had two helpings of guilt in your life. Yeah. Your father was a Catholic, your mother was Jewish. That's right. A lot of guilt put on you. So,
that's in my blood. I was never a big fan of a lot of the Republicans. But I think it's, for liberals, I think it's just old school liberals. You don't have to worry about it. That's why we are Democrats, because we are people who have compassion within us. I'm not saying the Republicans are without compassion, but sometimes they are. They're more greedy and selfish. I'm sorry.
You had one of the, I think, sharper members of the new class of Congress in, Congressman Porter from California.
Okay, yeah.
And she was having a take on what Joe Biden was trying to handle with the Hyde Amendment. And he got a lot of people upset with this in his own party. Right. I want to remind people, if you didn't watch the show, I know you all did, but here's what Congressmember Porter was saying about Biden's handling of the Hyde Amendment. Watch this.
Even when he talked about it, he couldn't quite get the word out. It was like, health care for women that might involve, some pieces of you that are sort of... I was a professor. Better late than never for the student who gets it on the last day of class.
I always counted on that kind of professor. But...
She's funny.
She's funny, she's smart, and she is insistent. Yeah. You always got to be ready when Porter's going to come. So, is she right about Biden, and how big a blow?
I don't know. I think he was between a rock and the hard place and he's going to be that way for the rest of this campaign, because right now, when he got in, sitting well with the traditional centrist Democrats, who, again, make up most of the country.
80% of that party identifies center.
I get out in the country. I tour a lot. I see this country. I did my last stand-up special in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The chattering classes live in L.A. and D.C. and New York, and they don't know that there's a country out there. And there is, and in that country, Joe's very popular, but he also knows to get the nomination, he has to satisfy the left part of his base, and they are not going to, he made that decision. He said, I'm not going anywhere unless I get right on this abortion issue. These people are firmly pro-choice. They don't want someone who's waffling on that. I'm going to get there. But is he going to lose the people, and those centrist people who have been his fans? Now, probably not too much, but we'll see. That's the art of politics, is making both wings think you're for them.
Do you think that it evidenced that there wasn't enough thought that went into the early stage of planning, that they had to know people were going to come at the inconsistency between being pro-choice and pro-Hyde Amendment. They don't go together logically.
Right.
The 94 crime bill, that this is going to come up again. It came up for Hillary. It's certainly going to come for you. What do we say? Do you think it reveals that they weren't ready?
I think what it reveals is that people in this age don't understand that humans evolve, just like societies evolve. And by the way, to all these people who are so harsh on the past, there are things you're doing right now that are going to look bad in the future. Things we're doing right now. I mean, we used to smoke on airplanes. We thought it was a great idea to walk inside an enclosed aluminum tube and light up a Chesterfield. We don't do that anymore. You know, all these people who are so judgmental, I just want to say to them, stop prosecuting people back then who did things who, if you were around back then, you would have done them too. If you were around in the 80s, you would have worn the big shoulder pads, because we all were doing that. So, yes, Joe Biden is not perfect. None of us are. All you can expect from a human being is to evolve. He was rotten to Anita Hill. But, you know, what is he going to keep apologizing for it until the end of his time?
Does it mean there's got to be a new generation who doesn't carry the objections of the current political class?
I don't know. Or why not just somebody who has learned and moved on? I mean, this is the only country I can think of in history who doesn't seem to get something very fundamental, which is that in general, people older are wiser. That's the trade-off of life. When you're young, you're beautiful, and then you're not so beautiful. And when you're old, you're wiser. This is the trade-off. Now, of course, there are exceptions. There are dumb old people and smart young people. But in general, yes, I'm okay with someone who has learned and grown and seen a lot and has experienced it and has seen patterns. You know, I like Mayor Pete, but I do think 37's a little too young. Little bit.
So let's do this. You're not a soothsayer, obviously. You're not a mystic, but you have been uncannily early on some things that were going to happen in our political dynamic.
Thank you, yeah.
Good to you. As somebody who guesses wrong on a regular basis, I respect when people guess right. Give me a feel for what you think about, not necessarily predictions, but what do you imagine happening going forward? In whatever political way is relevant.
One of those things, to take up your point, that I've been talking about for years now, almost 3 years, that a lot of people are talking about now, is that if he loses Trump, he won't go. I've been saying that since before he got elected, that if he loses the second time, and if he loses the coming election, and Michael Cohen said that, Nancy Pelosi said that, a lot of people now, and I think that is what we have to worry about, because a lot of people say, well, yes, it can happen here, meaning fascism, meaning something other than what was democracy. Now, I think we're already there. When the President of the United States is saying that the news is the enemy of the people, you know, I have a dictator checklist that I read on my show sometimes, things that no American president has ever done, but this president does. Appointing your family to key government positions. This is banana republic
So
stuff.
you think he wouldn't leave?
That is one of them. I absolutely think he will not leave.
Now, that would be something. Hopefully, even the great Bill Maher is wrong about the president refusing to accept the results of the election if he loses. But what do you think? Let me know. Now, Maher wanted President Trump gone yesterday. We know that. But what does he think the Democrats should do going forward? Does he believe in the impeachment route? His easy but complicated advice to Democrats next. Now, you may not always agree with Bill Maher, but the host of the wildly successful show Real Time on HBO has called a lot of things right, especially when it comes to politics. You heard him predict before that this president, he doesn't think he'll leave the White House if he's defeated. So how would that play out? And what about impeachment? Here's Bill Maher.
He will tell his rabid following that it's rigged. They're always out to get him. I mean, for someone who's had every advantage of life, it's amazing the way he can always say, things are unfair to me. Poor Donald Trump, a white man born to great wealth. Oh, if I can only get a seat at the table in this country.
And yes, he identified with a base that has exactly those issues of being underserved, being disenfranchised, and he connected. So you think if he loses, he doesn't leave? Give me another one. What you think may happen going forward?
I don't know. Based on the past, based on the fact that, again, appoints his children to the key positions, uses his office for personal financial gain, talks about locking people up, lies so frequently the followers don't know anymore and they don't care. In that atmosphere, I sound like the Godfather, no, anything is possible, but anything is possible. And if you talk about locking people up and you talk about he talks about the media, the enemy of the people, I mean, I don't want to go to that place where we compare him to these fascists, but that is the phrase they used in the past. That's not me. Enemy of the people. You create this atmosphere, and we've already seen it. There have been 2 instances now, Cesar Soyak, the guy in Florida, and the Coast Guard guy a few months ago.
I'm well aware.
Who have sent out bombs trying to decimate the top leadership of the Democratic Party, all the people Trump goes after. They sent out bombs to the Obamas, the Clintons, Biden, Eric Holder.
Us.
Yes, exactly. And in that atmosphere, I don't know what's possible. And, Trump talks about we have the tough people. Remember that? We have the tough people. Okay, again, dictator stuff. I have the people with the guns. And he does. Now, the military, there's a lot of people in the military who do not like Trump for obvious reasons. He sides with countries that aren't us, made fun of John McCain, draft dodger. Why any of them are with him, I don't know. But the police, he's got the police. The police love him because he says you can do anything when you're in the police. You can shove their head, don't be so nice. So that's really scary. I have the tough people. That shouldn't be what decides things in this country. Who has the tough people?
You know what? Look, I mean, you put a lot of thought into this. There are some scary expectations. The hope is always that people love the law the most if they're in the law business, and that the country and its institutions are bigger than any individual.
That's what's scary about it. When they do polls of people, it's frightening. They don't know the 3 branches of government. So how do they know, or why would they care if one of them is being abrogated? Are we going to have the kind of system in this country where we have a parliament, like lots of countries do, like Russia has a parliament, like we have Congress, but they're really just a joke. They don't really matter. And we're moving toward that. When Congress is subpoenaing people and asking for stuff, the law says you shall give the tax returns, and they just say, go.
You think they should impeach?
I do. At this point, I do. I think you kind of have to.
You don't think it's a trap?
I think it looks... I don't think his base can get any... They say, well, it'll rile up his base. His base is riled. I don't think that's going to get any worse. And I think you look weak. And the Democrats' biggest problem is always looking weak. Turn it around. Wouldn't they do it? They would have done it on the first day. They would have impeached Hillary when she was in the ball gown from the inaugural and she hadn't done anything. Okay.
Bill Maher.
Sorry if I scared you.
Not at all. Not at all. You just gave me a lot to think about.
Okay.
That's what you do best.
Thank you.
Good luck with the residency in Vegas.
All right.
I know it's going to be a hit. I hope you're not as right as you've been in the past about what may come in the future. But I appreciate you here, and you're always welcome.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Bill Maher.